Hello everyone, Justin Victor here, and I'm going to be reflecting on a topic this week from Dr. Eric and Jillian regarding what is the in-between time. And to be 100% honest with you, I had absolutely no idea what they were referring to when they first brought up this topic because, what exactly is this time related to? Where is the reference frame and how exactly do we define it? So I had a lot of great insights coming from their conversation, and I'm extremely happy that they elaborated on this fantastic concept. So, just first and foremost, from what I got from them when I heard their discussion on it, and my interpretation of it is something as the time we are in this waking state, when we are in our space of physical manifestation, and we aren't necessarily in that awareness that we would be a part of when we're in the realm of the source, where I believe that's what guides us, and even when we're in a dreaming state. So my reasoning behind that, in my interpretation of it, is just by breaking it down first. So in between and time. When I hear in between, I think of it as subordinate to something else that's more important. You're not referring to the object itself or whatever it is. You're referring to how it stands in relation to something. So my belief is that this space that we're in right now, where you can see and hear me, you're watching me on a screen, this isn't what defines our existence. It's not who we are, what our is. And so that's what part of the reason why I believe that it's in this space that we perceive with our limited and finite mind, but also with just the concept of time itself as an illusion. And the more that I become involved in and return to this practice, soaking in all the frequencies and allowing them to move through me to provide me with newfound insights and perspectives that I would have struggled way too hard to fail to obtain previously in my life in academics, which was a lot more rigorous than it is now. But the time itself is an illusion that we only think time is real because we do one of two things. I mean, the first is more, it's something that we hold on to. So we have memories of events, certain things will stick. For example, I, for some reason, had a recollection of the Reconnective Kids event that I went to when I was really young, even remembering almost the exact place it was at and what the setting looked like, even though I didn't really have any sort of resonance that I was conscious of at that time. And then the second thing is that we measure time. But if you look into different perspectives and how time is relative, you'll see that it is an illusion itself. Matter, in fact, bends it. I mean, I've talked about this before, but the movie Interstellar, where they're close to a black hole, time slows down a lot. And even when they go on to one of the planets in the movie where they're scouting out a place for possible living where they want to be, the amount of time that passes on there, I think it's like an hour on the planet, is like 50 years out at the ship where another crew member is waiting. So time itself is an illusion. So that is how I came to define and form my own perspective on in-between time. So how is this manifested in my life beyond just our existence? Well, I pretty much see where we are right now as just part of the journey as a transition. So something fantastic happens to me every now and then. I mean, even right now, it'll happen sporadically, but it's a little bit hard to describe, so I'll just explain as best I can. I will get glimpses of my consciousness and just being alive. So when I say that, it's on the best thing I can do to visualize it is if something dumped or someone put a bucket of cold water on my head and I just woke up. It's like I can't believe to be alive. I can't believe I exist in this space. It's just it feels so weird. And that's how I feel like I somehow almost bridge the gap between my consciousness that exists in awareness in that space of the realm of the source, and here I am now. And I believe in a way that NDEs are also a part of that. I'll speak into it a little bit because I don't have any experience with them, but from what I know, I believe that we almost transition into that realm of the source when we go into that experience, like dipping your toes into a pool of, say, pure consciousness and awareness. You get a brief taste of it before you're pulled back out. So that's how I kind of visualize in between time is where we are now. I see it as just this transition. It's in between where we came from and where we go back to. Another thing I'd like to discuss a little bit is the illumination of the sun that Dr. Eric and Jillian talked about in the Live and Learn earlier this week. And so they talked about how it illuminates itself and others. So there's a fantastic thing about the sun, the light in there, it'll only take about 8 minutes by the time it's emitted from the surface to when we see it on Earth. But it can take up to 100,000 years from the nuclear reactions of the core to navigate all the layers and high densities inside it to get to the surface. And so in itself, the light is going to surface, it's going to emit when it's ready to. It's going to transition back out into space where it came from. So just speaking a little bit into the scientific part, like the Big Bang, when everything came together like the sun, in a nebula where everything condensed, it's emitting back out. And so I think that's a perfect example of the in-between time when we have reached the surface after however long it is, because it's a process and we illuminate ourselves and the light of others. In fact, we are the illumination when it comes back to the surface and is emitted back into the universe, space, where we came from, the realm of the source. So that's the perspective I'd like to provide on it. And it was a very mentally vigorous activity this week, just trying to take in all the information from Dr. Eric and Jillian. I'm sure a lot of you felt the same because it was a very deep talk, and I am very grateful to them for everything that they discussed and for all of you that joined in on the beautiful conversation. And if you haven't, go check it out, because if your mind wasn't blown by it, well, then I don't think you haven't touched your awareness yet. That's just my experience with it. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say this week on this topic. If you have any suggestions, thoughts, comments, or feedback, leave them in the section below, and I'd love to hear from you. Thank you all so much. Love you all lots.